welcome into the Comcast Sportsnet studios. Good to be back. My name is Russ Thaler. This is Washington Post Live, and away we go with the headlines. And since we last left the Washington Capitals, the trade deadline is come and gone. Nothing doing on that front. On the ice, the team has fallen into its worst funk in quite some time. The 2-1 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs last night marked the first time since Bruce Boudreau took over that the team has lost 3 straight on home ice. John Keeley, senior writer for the popular hockey blog On Frozen Blog, is here. John, what's the biggest cause for concern right now with just 16 games left in the regular season?
I think the context, Russ, is that there really shouldn't be a whole lot to be concerned about. This homestand, which was really a 9-game homestand, is something that coaches in all sports hate, and Bruce Boudreau was among them. It fosters complacency, and I think that's what we've seen the Caps play with, a lot of complacency, not a lot of drive. That's what their opponents have played with as they've come into Washington in the last 2 weeks. They've had, it's been a rotten homestand, but they're not really beat up. I think it's early March. It's meaningless hockey because the Caps, even with all of these losses, really still have a double-digit lead for the division. They're going to win the division title. They're going to have a top 3 seed. We just want to see them playing better at the end of March as opposed to right now.
Well, John, Alex writes in on the Comcast Triple Play inbox asking if the Caps have actually peaked too soon this season.
Well, if they lose Sunday to Pittsburgh, lose their 4th game in a row at home, and just continue this slide, yeah, if we go into another week and we see this kind of hockey, yeah, I would say you could at that point raise the concern that maybe this team really just put the pedal to the metal in the early part of the winter. But let's give it a little bit more time. We'll see Alexander Ovechkin back in the lineup Sunday. Let's just see what another week or so brings before we really rush to that judgment.
Yeah, well, they need to get up for Sunday's game against the Penguins because while they beat Pittsburgh the last time, here the famous Ovechkin-Crosby showdown right there. The Penguins come in with a lot of confidence in this game. I think they've won 5 in a row now, in Pittsburgh, which was on the outside looking in. The playoff picture now finds itself in a real chase to gain spots here in the East.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh, unlike the Capitals, made some tinkerings with their roster at the trade deadline. They added some wingers. They look to be a much stronger team than when the Caps last faced them. They are now in the playoffs. I believe they're in the 7th spot in the East. They're playing great hockey. The Caps are in for a real tough test this Sunday.
You know, we're starting to see now Caps fans getting a little used to the success the team's been having. And with that comes the booing at the end of the poor performances. With the fact that the Caps didn't make any moves at the trade deadline, are they setting themselves up for even more criticism, or is it possible that we should just say, you know what, it wasn't there, take George McPhee's word for what it's worth, and move along with a team that has a chance now with a window that's probably open longer than it would have been otherwise?
Russ, what is so fun about following this team, as I do, is that you get a lot of information. And we got it just yesterday from the owner himself on his blog. He actually shared the inner workings there in the Capitals' war room with George McPhee and his scouts. The Capitals were holed up for 2 days. The phones were busy. The right deal just didn't come along. It's not like the Caps were sitting on their hands and saying, hey, everything's hunky-dory. The right deal just didn't come along. But, you know, if we get to mid-April and this team is season's over earlier than all of us hoped, then you can kind of look back and say, well, maybe we should have, you know, caved in on one of those deals.
Yeah, I read Ted's take also. What I love the fact that other teams were trying to basically just pillage the Capitals farm system. What they want, 4? Was it Phoenix that wanted 4 of their top prospects?
It was actually Anaheim. And Chris Pronger, the giant defenseman, the former Norris Trophy candidate, he was really the big prize here at the trade deadline. And they wanted the 3 best prospects in the Capitals organizations and a #1 draft pick. I mean, why not just throw in Alexander Ovechkin while you're at it? So Ted was right. He said Anaheim wanted us to do all their rebuilding for them in one day. And good for George McPhee, good for Ted Leonsis for saying this phone call's over.
John Keeley, senior writer for On Frozen Blog. He is the man with information. John, always great to have you on the show. See you soon.
Thanks, Russ.
All right, next headline now.